What is up, everybody? It is the Sports Wheelhouse here on this Tuesday, first night of October. We got all kinds of crazy things in the sports world. JD has got his power back on. He is charged up and electrified and ready to go. We got the Sports Wheelhouse. Comment in. Let's ado of this thing. Come on. What it do, everybody? I'm Chip. This is JD, or at least the eyes of JD, hanging out. Hey, there's my guy. JD is, again, as we always tell you, in South Carolina. Happy to see my guy survive the hurricane. Not everybody was as lucky, but he was without power for a couple of days, so he's got to restock the refrigerator. JD, how you doing, my guy?
Barely made it, dude. Like I'm holding on by by a thread, but we're blessed enough to make it through it. So it is what it is.
Yeah, I was worried about you, homie. Like that's some scary stuff. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh yeah, like we were hunkered down. I'm on my phone today, so excuse my jumpiness. Um, dude, we had to hunker down. We were down since Thursday. I think Thursday morning. The storm
Right.
came through. It was worse than I thought, but then it was just kept getting worse. So it was deafening. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna go down as like one of those really bad ones. Um,
Yeah,
and I think the thing that was craziest for me is it seemed like it was slated to go more towards Florida and not all the way up to South of North Carolina. But y'all, I mean, North Carolina and South Carolina and even Georgia got smacked.
yeah, and it was crazy because like during the week, like they were like, okay, well you're gonna miss some school, and so we're not gonna have football games. We'll have them on Saturday, and we were
Mhm.
like, wait a minute, like there's no like once everything happened, like we lost power, and then the wind kept blowing, and like we were hearing like we were sitting in our garage, we could hear the trees breaking.
That's
You could hear
oh,
trees breaking, and then there was just like everything that was breaking, and the power went out, and like I said, we just got power back yesterday, but we didn't even get hit the hardest. Like I complained, but like the hardest hit was Western North Carolina. They got destroyed, like all the way up to like Tennessee. Asheville, Hendersonville got just absolutely dismantled. Table Rock. I'm sorry, I'm missing a couple of names, but it was terrible.
yeah, I mean it's no bueno as the kids say. No bueno indeed. But you know what? We got some sports to talk about. So that's what we're gonna do on this fine
Sure.
evening. Are you ready to talk about some sports on the wheel? You might
Let's
not be.
get it.
There we go. Patrick checking in. What's up? Patrick, how are you doing, my friend? Good to see you. We got a wheel. We're gonna put it on the screen, and away we go and spin. Ooh, starting off strong with our NBA talk. Okay. So there's some groundbreaking unofficial news because the deal has not been finalized yet. Let me just say that again. The deal has not been finalized yet. But
Yeah.
the Minnesota Timberwolves have apparently traded. They've gotten rid of some salary at the big positions. and have traded Karl Anthony Towns to the New York Knicks for Julius Randle, DiVincenzo, and I think a pick or two. JD, immediate thoughts on this trade?
Me,
We're going to have to pause a little bit with JD because JD is battling, as we mentioned, some hurricane stuff, and the Wi-Fi at JD's house is not ideal. He's cutting in and out a little bit, but I'll share my thoughts until he secures it. Nope, you're still in and out, bud.
Am I back?
You're back. You are not. You are gone. You hung up on me. All right, so my immediate thoughts are this. The Villanova Wildcats 2.0 are an interesting team. By adding Karl Anthony Towns, they have added a successful big, where Julius Randle definitely was slowing down a little bit. JD has returned to the stage. JD, Villanova Wildcats 2.0 that hang out in Spike Lee's garden. What are your thoughts? JD going again. He doesn't have a lot of thoughts apparently tonight. Again, please apologize. We appreciate JD. He is battling the battle. He's fighting the good fight in South Carolina on a phone, and I'm pretty sure he's got a lamp showing some kind of light. He's in Amish country at this current juncture. The East is really interesting in the NBA right now, where you have a dominant Celtics team who could easily repeat. You've got a Sixers team that have made some moves, but we still don't know what exactly they are, what they're doing until they win, a first or second round game. And then you've got the Knicks making some big moves. You can't forget about a team like, you see, JD's trying to get in. You can't forget about a team like Milwaukee. I mean, there's some big name teams. I think right now the East is the stronger conference, and JD is here, maybe here, not here, here, hello, here, yes, here, maybe hello. He's just shaking.
I'm here, but it's like so spotty as crap.
You're here. You're here. You're good. You're good.
I was just saying that I think they gave away too much to get Cat. To be honest, he's had like a lot of injuries, and so you just don't know with a big like how much time you're gonna have with that big, and how effective he's gonna be. I guess if you're saying that the Sixers are number one in the East, kind of with their roster, then I would say that it would have to be 1A, 1B, with the Knicks right now. Until we find out a little bit more about who they are. I think if you're just looking at rosters, I think they're very comparable to our Sixers. They got guys in kind of every position. They got a lot of depth now. So I think those are the two. I think those are the two coming out of the East that you have to be worried about, is the Knicks and the Sixers.
So you don't have the Celtics making waves again?
No. I think that Tatum's had a regression. And we saw that in the I think people have kind of, and I think that team runs off Jaylen. So Brown's only one. So you have to deal with Tatum, but Brown is who makes them go. So and I think we've kind of seen that. And I just put the Celtics, I mean, that are defending champs, I have to, but I'm more about the Six. If I'm on the East, I'm about the Sixers and the Knicks.
I think for me,
because now they have a true big.
Yeah, and I think if you look, and for me, I look at what the Sixers have and have not been able to do. And look, on paper, I keep using this phrase over these last couple of days. On paper, the Sixers are a very solid team. Whether or not that actually matters, whether or not that actually does anything, we don't know, because we've yet to see the Sixers actually do anything really competitive in the playoffs when push comes to shove. They added a couple of nice pieces, but I think Karl Anthony Towns, I mean, he's a clear upgrade over Julius Randle. He gives you a lot more in the both inside and outside game. I mean, I think you'll lose some rebounds more than anything, but you improve your three-point shooting. You've got a lot of guys who can take the ball to the hole. You got a lot of guys that can pull up and shoot. I think the Knicks are a very good team, and I think the addition of Cat Williams. See, you got me coming in. I talk Cat Williams immediately. The addition of Cat, um, it makes them immediately better. The big thing I just said, JD, is that Karl Anthony Towns is a clear upgrade over Julius Randle in my mind.
Right, of course.
And because of that, like you saw a Knicks team that was already doing pretty well. Now you put together a group of guys who already clearly had chemistry, who had success at a championship level, knowing that the NBA game and the NCAA game is very different. I'm aware you don't even have to make that point. I know. But I think Karl Anthony Towns he makes this team the front runner simply because the Sixers, while they did make moves, have not really done anything with every move that they've ever made, have not ever really made that step. So for me, the Knicks are higher up until the Sixers actually get out of the first and second round of the playoffs. Like it's kind of like a fool me once, fool me twice kind of thing.
I would agree. I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. I and like I said, you'd be hard pressed to get someone to say otherwise. I think, but I don't think they're the front runner. I think Sixers are still the front runner. They got a lot of depth. And I'm not just saying it because I'm a Sixers fan, but they have a lot of depth in like all the spots, and they have veteran leadership. So, the Celtics don't really scare me as much as they did last year, and I think we've seen the best that they can do.
I don't know. You know what I mean? I'm not sure. I mean, look, they're a championship winning team. In my mind, they're still the front runner. I mean, you look at on social media, you look at some of these like simulations where Cat is now a Knick, and they still have Indiana coming out of the East as the 1 seed. So like I think there's a lot to be said about this. The East, in my mind, is definitely the stronger conference right now.
Yeah, I mean they're definitely strong, but I don't think it's Indiana. I think it's the Sixers, or I think it's New York.
All right. Is there a chance, real quick, since we haven't said it's not official, is the reason why they're holding up the trade because the NBA season isn't started yet, even though training camp starts in a couple weeks, or because Mr. Silver is going to pull a Chris Paul, no, you can't make this trade situation?
Nah, I think it's more about the timing of it all. And there's a lot of contracts because you're moving multiple players for one, so we got to make sure there's cap space, and you got to make sure it agrees with the collective bargaining agreement with NBA. Like, because you're trading a lot of assets for one player, and I know they want to go away from that. That's why they end up having to do multi-trade team trades to try to counteract that, because it's almost like when you're in your fantasy football draft and you're giving them one player and they're taking 3 of yours. You know what I'm saying? So like you just kind of got to make sure that the checks and balances work out. But I think all in all, I think if Adam Silver had a problem with it, he would have already said something.
I think the thing that was really interesting to me was it did not seem like Karl Anthony Towns was exactly informed.
I think they get rumblings. I think they know something's gonna happen, and I think they were looking to move him anyway. Mm-hmm. It just had to make sense.
Do you think the deal was fair?
Not for me. Not for the Knicks.
All right. Moving right along. The Philadelphia Eagles have reached the bye week at 2-2. Go Birds. I had the honor of being on a NFC East roundtable discussion last night where I had to go back from my statement 4 weeks ago, which is this team is the best team in the NFL, and eat a little bit of crow and switch it to I'm not ready to fire Nick Sirianni because that's not what we do here in Philadelphia. We give coaches a fair chance. But Nick Sirianni is turning out to be a really bad football coach.
Listen, okay.
Hold on, let me. The Philadelphia Eagles over the last calendar year have shown themselves to be chronically underprepared game in and game out. And you can blame it on the coordinators and you can blame it on individual players. but overall, it has to go somewhere. Nick Sirianni took this team to a Super Bowl, and then both of his coordinators were poached, as it normally happens, to be head coaches elsewhere, which means it really, in my opinion, exposed Nick Sirianni for how much he was responsible for and how much his two main coordinators are taking credit for. When you look at this Philadelphia Eagles team, fundamentally, they are bad. They do not tackle. They do not guard. The Vic Fangio style of defense where you're playing 15 yards off the ball made Baker Mayfield look like Tom Brady this past week. And if you look at every single game that the Philadelphia Eagles have won all of last year and all of this year, there has not been one dominant win in the last year and a half. Instead, it has been sneaking out victories, which is cute for a while. Oh, you're gritty. You've got the heart of a Philadelphian. And then there is not a game that you deserve to win against the Saints. The Saints lost that game. It's bad decision making. It's thinking you're the smartest person in the room. It's not kicking the 25-yard field goal in a 0-0 game and then going for a 60-yard field goal when you don't have to. It's not letting Saquon Barkley carry the ball in the first quarter. It's not changing your offensive style when you are down your first two best wide receivers. It's instead of spreading out even your backup receivers, bunching everybody in and allowing Tampa Bay and a very aggressive Todd Bowles to put 8 and 9 guys in the box and then still not giving it to Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley on Sunday had 10 carries for 89 yards. And if you look at that stat line, that's really impressive until you subtract that one of those carries was for 59 yards, meaning he had 9 carries for 30 yards. That is not acceptable that your star running back on a day where you are down your two best wide receivers doesn't get more than 10 carries. It is a joke. It is an abomination. This team needs a complete overhaul, and I don't know. It's not an overhaul. It is a refocus on actual football rather than just being the smartest guys in the room, because you're not doing a good job. And this Eagles team right now is scary bad. I'm done.
Okay. Wow. That's a lot to unpack. All right. So first of all, everyone.
I'm upset.
I know. I can tell. I'll start first by saying everyone pump the brakes. Everyone pump the brakes. You still
really good
have
at Philadelphia. We're good at that in Philadelphia.
We still have a lot to offer in the sense of you still have two of your best receivers who are out right now in Devontae Smith and AJ Brown.
Correct.
You're also depleted on the offensive line. Lane Johnson's out, and I'm pretty sure you're missing one more offensive lineman that's in and out.
That was only for that one game. And that's another point I'm going to let you finish. Can I finish? I'm going to let you finish. In the game against the Saints, when you lost your entire right side of your offensive line, if you are dealing with backup linemen, they enjoy run blocking more because it's easier and it's more aggressive. When Devontae Smith got knocked out of the game and then didn't play last week, let them run the ball. And Jalen Hurts, look, I like Jalen Hurts, but leading the league in turnovers over the last year is a problem. He cannot hold on to the ball. His internal clock needs to be rebooted, and he's got to get rid of the ball. I'm done. Go ahead.
Okay. And so, like, you're missing a lot of your offensive weapons. But that does not change what you said about the defense. The defense has always played better with the pass rush. They're known for having an aggressive pass rush. And that's what we've gotten in the past with the Philadelphia Eagles, and they don't have that right now. So without seeing it, it does change the kind of the outlook and the trajectory of what they're going. Like, what was the point of drafting Carter and Kobe Dean, all those Georgia guys, if you're not going to let them get after it? That's what they were used to doing at Georgia.
That's only half of the problem, because you get rid of Hassan Reddick, you bring in Bryce Huff, and Bryce Huff has been a straight up ghost on the football field. Josh Sweat has been a ghost since he changed his number. The best defensive lineman edge rusher that we have right now is a guy on his retirement tour in Brandon Graham. The one game that we looked really dominant defensively, we had Davis and Carter blowing up the middle. Besides that, there has been no offensive pressure. are defensive pressure along the offensive line, which therefore means your linebacking core, which is not as good as it should be, and your secondary, which is not as good as it should be, is very openly exposed.
And you're right, they are exposed, but they're exposed because there's no real pass rush. If you got guys back there taking their time, you letting Baker Mayfield kind of just mosey around and chill and hang out, make a sandwich. He of course he's gonna torch you. That guy played for Oklahoma. He's used to throwing it all around. Like he's gonna do that. But I will say this:
it's like you're throwing against Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, and you're giving them 15 to 20 yards off the ball, and you're not getting pass rush. I could have thrown for 300 on Sunday.
Well, and I'm gonna say this, and I think Sunday was a gimme. Like I'm gonna be honest, if I'm being completely honest, it was I didn't pick them. Normally, I don't pick when you're down that many guys. I don't pick that starting team, and I think he kind of played it off like it was a pick 'em. Like I didn't want to get instead of saying, hey, I don't want to get Saquon hurt. I don't want to run him 50,000 times. Instead of saying that, he made it seem like, oh, we got 3 and outs, and well, you have 3 and outs because you're not running the ball, and so. Because if you look at it, I think Kenny Gainwell had just as many runs as Saquon did, rushes. So
I couldn't watch the second half. You're right.
So if I'm being completely honest, I think Nick Sirianni does have a lot to prove. I think he's more afraid for Saquon because if Saquon's the only guy that you got, you don't want to overuse him, especially this early in the season. And I think that's where people I think that's where people sometimes fall when they're a fan of someone. You forget that it's a business, and with it being a business, you can't overuse him, knowing his injury history, and then expect to have him when the games really matter. The games don't matter right now, to be honest. If I'm being completely honest, they don't.
But instead, you let Jalen Hurts get absolutely manhandled and blown up in the pocket because once again, you have not figured out how to throw a 5-yard slant, right? A 10-yard in, a 7-yard out. Instead, you've got these home run shots after home run shots, and all your home run hitters are nursing injuries. And you bring in like a guy like Jahan Dotson. Jahan Dotson has been a ghost, right? Jahan Dotson is not who they thought he was going to be.
Okay, so let me just start this out there real quick, and this, you can kind of hit me with this. Outside of Jahan Dotson and Goddard, who can he throw the ball to?
Nobody. And that was the issue. So how are you calling as many pass plays as you did on Sunday?
Because I don't think that's what I'm saying. I think it's more preventive maintenance. I think it's, hey, I don't mind losing this one. We have an excuse. We don't have any of our receivers. And I'm not going to kill Saquon.
Then sit everybody, right? Let Kenny Pickett get some action. Let Gainwell get in there. Let Will Shipley carry the ball. Let Grant Calcaterra carry the ball, right? Let those guys do stuff. If you're going to throw a game like you're implying, then really throw the game, right? Load manage the shit out of it. Because what we saw was a half-assed effort, a bad game plan, and now you've got 2 weeks to listen to people like me, and even worse, at 94 ones and the 97 fives say that Nick Sirianni should be fired. And we know he's not going to do it, but we have 2 weeks to listen to how he's all of a sudden not good at his job, that Jalen Hurts is a bad NFL quarterback, that Dallas Goedert is a bad tight end, that the offensive line still misses Jason Kelsey, that our D is a joke, that we should be trying to get Hassan Reddick back. You set yourself up for 2 weeks of locker room chaos, and then you have actual locker room chaos where Darius Slay is chilling with Micah Parsons and laughing at his quarterback fumbling the ball, where CJ Gardner-Johnson is laughing about things that are going against his team, where Devin White is laughing about fumbles that his old team calls on his current team. All that same locker room crap from 2020 and 2021 before the end of the end of Doug, right? All that crap that was happening where every single week there was a report. You're seeing it happening again. It is a problem. Winning cures everything. Losing exacerbates the problem.
Right. Okay. Last thing I'm going to say, and I'm going to let you have it. The problem with it is that the talking heads, regardless of if they are us, people like us, or if they are like one of WIP or whoever, like those are just talking heads. if you let that seep into your locker room, okay, cool. But I can't imagine that they didn't laugh about the way Jalen fumbled. Like when I played basketball in college, if one of my friends got dunked on, we were laughing about it because we were laughing about it in his face. So I'll be hard pressed to think that Jalen Hurts is worried about what Slay had to say.
Jalen
You know what I'm saying?
Hurts is not worried about it, which is another issue that we're talking about the narrative. And Adam checking in saying, should have had Barkley run the ball more since we don't have any wide receivers. Yeah, we agreed. JD's point is that he was basically taking a game where they were okay taking the L. I think the issue with what you just said is there is a very big difference in you turning over the ball in a high school gym and millions of dollars and the NFL in a swampy heat of Tampa Bay for all to see in front of the number one broadcast team on Fox, right? A team that we historically cannot beat well, right? Because for some reason the Bucks just have our number. Once again, you put out a straight up garbage effort. It wasn't even like they were competitive. That game was an abomination. And the big issue is all of a sudden, I guess I have to put you near the microphone. No, you're like next to the microphone.
Can you hear me?
I mean, I can hear you. I'm holding you right next to the microphone, so we'll probably cut the show a little bit short. We're still in the air. I'm guessing you lost the Wi-Fi again.
Wi-Fi is gone. I'm just having to call in.
Okay.
And Chip, you have a lot of good points.
But no, so the other thing I was going to say is part of the other issue that the talking heads are constantly talking about is the fact that Jalen Hurts shows no emotion. The fact that Jalen Hurts is this guy who is completely emotionless. Well, that's going to turn into a problem as this season goes on if they don't all of a sudden start to do the thing that they're supposed to do, which is win football games.
But we can't get mad at the guy stoic. Like that's just the thing. Like Philly people don't want him to be stoic, but he can still be stoic and still care. Like we didn't seem to care when he was throwing touchdowns and they thought that he wasn't the guy. He wasn't the guy. But so you can't be mad now that people are saying he's not the guy again and he's not gonna have a response or team not doing it. He's gonna be the same. Like that's what makes a good quarterback. Is they don't get rattled. They don't get shook. He's who he is. Like, I mean, if people really don't want Jalen Hurts, I'm telling you, there's 30 some other teams that will take him.
I think with what's happening right now with all the turnovers and the stoicism and the things like that, I would not say 30 other teams would take him. I would say maybe 10 teams would take him.
I'm telling you.
But at the same time, the issue falls in of he has looked really bad. He has completely regressed over the last year. There is no, you're right. I totally love Jalen Hurts. I think he's a great guy. I think he's a good locker room influence, but the play has got to back it up. And for some reason, he has turned into a shell of the quarterback that he was over the last 2 years. And that's got to be blamed on somebody.
I think, and you got to think about, like, as he first started, he had the capability to run the ball, just take off at any given moment. And so, like, now he's picking his spots more. And he is running, but it's like very last resort because that's what the Philly fan base said they wanted from him. They just wanted to take off. They wanted him to, look for receivers downfield. So you can't have it both ways. You can't want him to be this run first.
I still want him to run the ball. I still want him to run the ball. But I don't want him to run it every single play. I want him to use the weapons that he has. I want him to avoid these hits. I want him to run an entire offense. If you look at what Baltimore is doing right now, Baltimore is finding insane levels of success because, number one, Derrick Henry is still him, right? Then you add the threat of Lamar Jackson. The Eagles have that in Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts. The problem is bringing in A.J. Brown, and this is kind of what I think it turned into for me. Bringing in A.J. Brown turned the narrative of, hey, what got you to the Super Bowl was your running game. Now, all you have to do is throw the ball, right? Turn yourself into a pocket passer. And it's the exact same thing we saw with Randall. It's the exact same thing we saw with Donovan McNabb, right? It's the same thing that we see with a lot of black quarterbacks, which is, why aren't you passing the ball? You're never going to win. You've heard it for years with Lamar. You just need to do what's best for the team. And turning over the ball 27 times over the last year is not what's best for the team.
And that's true. And I'm not here to argue that point, because you're right. But there's other things wrong with that offense other than Jalen Hurts turning the ball over. And if you're being completely honest, if the receivers were getting open, then it wouldn't be. They're not getting any separation. Even when the throws that I looked at a video today, even the throws that he has made this year, they're in tight windows because these guys aren't getting any separation from these corners. Like, for these to be top notch, receivers, like, there's no separation. There's no leaving guys in the dust. These are like very highly contested catches. These guys, especially Devontae Smith, that's why he's hurt, because he's having to go up on guys that outweigh him by like 30, 40 pounds.
Yeah, no, it's bad. It is really, really bad. And again, Jalen Hurts is not supposed to be a pocket passer. I'm not saying that he can't be. I'm not saying that he can't be. I'm saying that's not what he is.
And if I'm being honest, when we remember last year, a couple years ago, we were talking about the Delco people and making some comments about him not throwing the ball as much. Well, you got to the Super Bowl with him not throwing this.
I don't want to throw the ball. I want to run. I want a 60-40 split. I want to keep the defenses honest.
You want that chip, but you got to remember, running the ball ain't sexy. Like, that's what I'm trying to remind everybody of. Everybody was talking about, hey, Jalen Hurts he's not throwing the ball. He's not the Patrick Mahomes. He's not doing this, not doing that. Because throwing the ball is sexy. 70-yard, 80-yard bombs is sexy.
Winning games is sexy.
To you.
No.
To most of
because if they had gone into the bye 4-0 or 3-1, we wouldn't be sitting here having these conversations.
Well, we had the same conversation a couple years ago when they were 9 and something and they lost the next 4.
Because we could see that even those wins weren't legitimate wins.
Listen, a win's.
Right. Until you develop a pattern of not that you're winning games, but that other teams make enough mistakes that you cause them to lose. The Eagles are really struggling to win football games. Again, the Saints lost last week.
Okay, so let me throw this out there. And this is a question for you because we're just having this call. If let's say they were to come off the bye week, everybody comes back correct, fine, and they rattle off 6 or 7 wins, are we done talking about it?
For me, it depends on what these wins look like.
No, they're dominant wins. Like,
then yes, this conversation is over.
But I promise you, that's it. Like, that's what I'm telling you. Like, it's not going to be over because in reality, he's not the quarterback that they wanted.
And there has not been a dominant Eagles win since they lost the Super Bowl. All of last year, 10-1. I did not feel good about one of those wins. And then they had the historic collapse. And it was basically what it was is all the times that they got lucky, they stopped getting lucky.
But what I'm saying is, as a non-technical Eagles fan, I promise you there's a lot of teams that would just love to be in that position. And I know maybe this is a little recency bias, but, dude, it's hard to make it to the Super Bowl.
Sure is.
You need a lot of things to happen. Like, it's not easy. You won the NFC East a couple of times. Since 2017, I think you guys might be the second most winningest team outside of the Chiefs. So, we're really talking like we're kind of splitting hairs here. Like,
I don't think we're splitting hairs. I think we're trying to rationalize what a quality NFL win looks like, right? Minnesota is not complaining right now about the way they're winning games. Why? Because they're slapping teams around. I had to sit on that podcast last night and listen to a Washington Commanders fan gloat about slapping the Cardinals around 42-14.
They stink.
Yes, but we played the Falcons and they stink.
The Falcons are like, they don't stink.
The Falcons stink.
The Falcons beat y'all and they beat somebody else.
I'm not, but again, My
think
point.
the Cardinals and the Falcons are equal?
Yes. I do think the Cardinals and the Falcons are equal.
The Cardinals don't have anybody.
The Cardinals are definitely equal to the not the Philadelphia Eagles, to the Atlanta Falcons right now. Because you've got down there, you've got a new coach, you've got a new quarterback, and you're trying to figure it out in Atlanta. And somehow you let Kirk Cousins put up huge numbers and beat you. I think that the defense, when the Eagles' defense plays well, they can sneak out wins. When the defense doesn't play well, it exposes the glaring weaknesses of the Eagles' offense, which have been consistent for a year now.
I will give you 90% of that statement. The only 10% I will give, what I won't give you is NFL games. They're not. I mean, sometimes, a lot of times, those are all close games. It's not like college. You have a really.
I agree. When I say dominant, I'm not talking blowouts.
Yeah.
Let me correct myself. I am not talking a blowout win. I am talking about a game where I go, damn, we won that game because of A, B, C, D, and E. We moved the ball. We converted on third down. We won the turnover battle. We dominated the line of scrimmage. We haven't done that. Every single game that we have won is not dominant because it's, oh, well, they missed that field goal. They threw an untimely interception. They didn't complete third downs. It's not the Eagles winning games. It's the other teams losing.
That's part of football, dude. Like some of that.
Once or twice, it's part of football. To have every win since your Super Bowl appearance be that way is a problem.
My question is for you then. What fixes it? Because you said it was, and some of it's Jalen, some of it's Nick Sirianni, some of it's on the coordinators. So they're a bad team all around.
So when they hired Sirianni, right? He did this whole press conference, which was terrible. And then he cleaned it up and basically said, we're going to put guys in the best positions for their skill sets, right? That's what he's come out and said. He even said the same damn thing yesterday when he had his coaches conference and he had to literally get shot with questions after questions after questions. Allowing Vic Fangio's defense to line up 18 yards off the ball and not press receivers is not putting players in the best position to succeed. Allowing Jalen Hurts to be a drop back passer and throwing the ball 35, 40, 45 times a game is not in the best position to succeed. Not letting Saquon Barkley carry the ball in the entire first quarter of the Saints game is not putting players in position to succeed. I think that what solves this problem is you actually do what you say you're going to do, and you put the players in their best positions to succeed.
And I agree with that. My question to you is, if you're not healthy, you don't have a healthy team.
Right.
Like your two best receivers are not healthy. So at this point, any win that you get is kind of a toss-up.
Correct.
Because you don't have any outside threat.
Correct. Any win that you would have, if you had gotten a win yesterday on Sunday, it would have been an absolute awesome thing. We would have been shocked. We would have been elated to sneak away with a victory. But when you have full health, and we were pretty damn healthy last year. We were pretty damn healthy.
He was not healthy.
No, Hurts was not healthy.
Yeah, so, I mean.
So you have full health. You don't play your players at all in the preseason, which is why you end up looking like garbage in the first half of the Packers game, right?
But that's everyone.
That's everybody because you don't play your starters in the preseason anymore. I get it. I do understand. There is a realism to what I'm saying. But what I'm also saying is, so I looked at a lot of the offensive setups on Sunday, right? And you knew you were going to have to rely on your tight ends and you were going to have to rely on your running game. So why do you have your offensive line, Paris Campbell directly next to them, Jahan Dotson directly next to him? Why are your receivers not split out? When you split out a receiver, you are at least pulling one guy away. But almost every formation was a bunch formation.
That's just lack of creativity.
And that's my issue. That's exactly what got Doug Peterson fired. Having a boring ass vanilla offense.
And I will say this, and I'm telling you, I've done this now. If you really think about it, losing the game on Sunday does not change the trajectory of anything. But people literally want to sell the farm. Like, I get it, dude. Like, it doesn't look good right now. But you don't win the championship in week 4.
No, you do not. And I will agree with that. And like I said, I'm not firing Nick Sirianni today. I am not benching Jalen Hurts for Kenny Pickett or Tanner McKee. I'm not doing these things. What I'm saying is you have to be accountable for what you said you're going to do, and right now you're not. So you better fix it. If you are an NFL football team and you cannot tackle, that's a bigger issue.
It's not even that you can't tackle. And some of this is what you're saying makes sense with the 15 yards, but I think they got to do it because, dude, I don't think your corners can guard.
Your corners can't guard.
I don't think Slay was getting ate alive.
Correct.
Big play Slay was they were taking his lunch. So I'm not sure that you got the corners that you think you got.
I know we don't have the corners that we think we got because the entire defensive success is based around if our front 4 can blow up the line. And when they don't, it's exposing the back 7.
And those dudes ain't good. Like them dudes y'all got back there in corner. I mean, it look good on paper. Like Darius Slay looks good. If Darius Slay has passed his mom, I'm sorry.
We know you don't have to apologize. We know that. But, get a Cooper DeJean in that situation to see what he can do. Stop trotting Avonte Maddox out there.
Well, not just him. It's all of them. Gardner, too. I told you from the beginning I didn't like the Gardner pickup.
Gardner? I like the pickup because he can tackle. I don't like the pickup and he can't guard. He can launch his body and knock a dude out, apparently.
Can he tackle, though?
No. And Zach Bond is like the NFL leader in tackles. He was a special teams player last year.
Dude, I mean, they got some questions to answer. I'll give you that. Can we talk about my Steelers real quick since I can't see the wheel?
Yes, we're going to talk about the Steelers, and we're probably going to sign out just because having my phone nuzzled against the microphone, I don't know what kind of audio we're getting, and I hope people listening can actually hear us. But yes, JD, talk about your very surprising Steelers.
Dude, and this is one of those moments where I eat my words, dude. Like, I am remarkably surprised at the way we've responded. Beating Atlanta, and then again, like almost beating the Colts. Like, and we played very bad first half. But that's just like you said, kind of play calling. The way they were kind of using Justin Fields, like he has to be free. He's like a wild horse. You got to let him run.
Yep.
If you don't let that guy run, he's one dimensional. He's not a great enough thrower right now to where he can throw anybody open. But if you give him legs and get some of those corners in, suck their eyes in, he can find Kenny Pickett and I mean, not Kenny Pickett. Dang, that was terrible. George
Pickens.
Some guys. And he's Najee Harris is playing decent. So I mean, I have a lot of high hopes for them, and the defense is still playing lights out. They're still, given and all they have, and I know they're kind of banged up a little bit too, but I'm happy with the Steelers. I don't ever think we're gonna be under 500 because that's just not Mike Tomlin. He's gonna find a way to win. But I feel like this new regime with Justin Fields is better. I don't think we ever get Russell Wilson again. I think we're gonna trade him back to Seattle for a one-day contract and go ahead and let him retire.
Now, if he retires, he'll retire as a. Oh no, I'm sorry. Yeah, Seattle. Yeah, you're right.
Let's send him back. Let him do a one-day contract.
So, realism.
Yeah.
You're 3-1.
Yeah.
You haven't played anybody yet.
Right.
You beat the Falcons. Again, the Falcons are not a good football team. The Falcons are not a good football team. They're okay. But they're not a good football team. The Broncos are not a good football team.
I don't believe so.
The Chargers are not a good football team.
I don't believe so.
They sold the farm this offseason. You come across the Colts. The Colts have some players, but overall, I mean, you lost to 106-year-old Joe Flacco.
Well, yeah, but that's because Rich won't keep himself upright.
Right. So I think, like this weekend, y'all got the Cowboys, a Cowboys team that has to win this game.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to beat them.
You have I am a Steelers fan this week. Let me tell you, the Raiders are not a good football team. Devontae Adams is begging to get out. The Jets are not a good football team. The Giants are not a good football team. So you have a very real possibility to be 6-2, 7-1 over these next couple of weeks.
I'm with it. And to be honest, a team like the Steelers just need confidence.
Right? Then you go against the Commanders, and then there'll be plenty of tape out on Jaden Daniels. So we'll see. You're going to get slapped by the Ravens twice.
Hold on. Listen, I'm going to be completely honest, dude. Like, I'm not afraid of the Ravens. And I'm going to tell you why. Because the only receiving threat that they actually have is Andrews.
He's killing me on fantasy on 2 teams.
Dude, he's played like dog water.
He's not even getting targeted anymore. He ran 10 routes last game.
He needs to hang it up, brother.
It's not that. It's just the offense is completely readjusted for what works. And it's funny because what used to work for Lamar Jackson is getting the ball to his tight ends.
Yeah. It's not working anymore, dude. That old stuff, that old horse is not going. I mean, plus you got Derrick Henry back there. So, like, you just kind of give it to him.
That's a cheat code. Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, that's a cheat code.
Just get out the freaking way. But I will say this. The Steelers have the defense to stop the run.
Correct.
If they do, then we might have a game on our hands. But because you make Lamar Jackson a passer, and that's where it gets kind of sketchy.
Yep. And playing in the end of the AFC North, you deal with the cold weathers.
Dude, it's gonna be by the time they play, it should be November time frame. It'll be cold in Pittsburgh, and it'll be cold in Baltimore. So I would love to see how that game turns out. And if we lose, okay, cool. If we win, man, we can start talking about the Steelers because they'll be a contender at that point.
I agree.
Did you watch any college football?
I did not watch any college football. I'm still doing a lot of baseball. I'm about to hit 200 games, so that's where I'm at.
Dude, I need to throw this out there just because I'm a college football fan or whatever. Alabama is for real.
Yo, they beat Georgia. They almost let Georgia come back.
Yeah, but that's just Georgia. I mean, that just shows you how good Georgia really is, but it shows you how good Alabama is to take punches and give them. And not take nothing away from Georgia. Like that was a preview of what the playoffs could possibly be. And if I got to be honest, my Tigers look pretty good too. Like Club Kate, I think Kate Klubnik has finally figured it out. I think his offense is clicking. He's getting the ball. His running back is running strong. Their defense is really like this is a Clemson defense you can be proud of. On the back, they got AJ Terrell's little brother back there. Dude is like a monster. They don't throw to his side. Dude picks off everything. And then last I will say Colorado. I'm falling in love with Colorado all over.
Oh no. Mm-mm.
I am.
Nope.
And not for the reason that you think, but because for one, I'm very happy with Shador Sanders.
What I was going to say about him is that's the reason why I'm not falling in love with Colorado, because you're actually seeing somewhat of the I don't want to call him a prima donna, okay, because that's not fair. He's a kid. He's just enjoying the time. But when you are throwing your team under the bus because they're not blocking anybody, and they're not blocking anybody, you're 100% right.
Nobody.
When you're avoiding NFL players coming to say what's up to you, which he did with Cam Newton, like, it's just not a good look. Whereas you look at a guy like, Jalen Monroe. Jalen Monroe is probably going to win the Heisman this year.
Yeah, for sure.
Milrose.
Off the brakes. I think that if Quentin Ewers can come back strong, they got enough big games left on their schedule, dude. He could.
I think with the way that Arch Manning is playing, Quinn Ewers doesn't take this team back over unless Manning starts to struggle.
Well, the coach already said that Ewers is coming back. He's the starter.
Okay.
He said it last. I mean, I think you're hard pressed to take Manning out the game, but it's hard to tell me that you're going to bench the guy that got you to the playoff last year who didn't do anything wrong. He just got injured.
Yeah. The best ability is availability.
But Arch Manning also isn't winning like Ewers was. Ewers was blowing dudes out. I mean, he's blowing guys out, but it's a little slower start for Manning.
But it's the bigger name. And remember, we've talked about this over and over again. College football is a business.
It is.
And all these years of Arch Manning sitting on the bench have hurt Texas football.
I don't think it has, dude. If I'm being completely honest, because I love this college.
Financially, it has.
No, it has not hurt them at all. You're talking big boy football. Like, this is big money. Like, this is the biggest team in Texas is Texas. Like, it's Texas. It is not the Cowboys. It is Texas. And that's why they always say it's Texas back. It's Texas back. They never really say the Cowboys back first. I mean, they do, but it's only the people that pull for the Cowboys. Like, we're waiting on to have the Texas back. We're waiting on the bench young Texas. We're waiting on that type of team to come back because that enamored everyone. The way this playoff is shaking out, I think you get Georgia, Alabama, Texas, Clemson, and Miami. I think you get Ohio State. You'll get somebody from the Big 12, maybe Oklahoma. Then you get all your heavy hitters, and then you really get to see what people got. Oregon, possibly. You'll get maybe USC. I don't know if USC's got enough, but maybe USC. But you're going to get to see who's got what. And I like this 12. I thought I wasn't going to like the 12-team playoff, but I've fallen in love with the 12-team.
I'm ready to go. Give me more college football.
And you know what's crazy is now you get all your historic. You get some teams, some games that you wouldn't normally see. Like you could possibly get a Clemson Oregon game that you wouldn't normally get, or Clemson Washington State game, or something exotic, and one of the like premier places to play, or a big game in College Station, or something. You know what I'm saying? You get to play some of these games in front of, or you get a whiteout Penn State game, night game against Alabama, or something, or Georgia, or something like that, and you get one of those type of games.
Yep.
And it's classic. So, dude, I wasn't on board with the 12-team playoff. I've fallen in love with it, and I eat my words.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm ready to go with it. We'll see what that looks like, as teams start to get in there. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things happening. There's still more things happening in the sports world, but I am gonna say let's give it a wrap for the evening, just because I think my phone's gonna die. I hope people were able to listen to the things. JD, how you holding up down there with no Wi-Fi now?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm gonna hopefully get some Wi-Fi tomorrow. For those of you guys who missed me tonight and that really didn't get I'll be covering a lot of these things. I'll make some shorts and kind of get you guys' opinion on some of the stuff, like with the trade of the Knicks trade and all that, and kind of like break it down a little bit more. I'm sorry about the Wi-Fi. I mean, I just got power back like a couple hours ago, so.
Yeah, life happens. We made it work. We always do.
We always do. Appreciate you having me, Chip. Next week we'll be back at full strength, hopefully.
Yeah.
We better get it. What you got going on this week?
We're gonna have to do another Eagles rant tomorrow on the AAT Bird show. It's the bye week blast.
Okay.
Or in this situation, the bye week blow up. I have to talk Johnny off a ledge because Captain Positivity Johnny is ready to fire everybody.
Let's do it.
So that'll be tomorrow around 9:15. Besides that, I'm going to hit my 200th game of umpiring. I went and saw the Savannah Bananas. We'll talk about that next time we're actually live on the air. That was the most entertained I've ever been on a baseball field. Yeah, life is life, and life is groovy.
Last thing I want to say is, hey guys, if you are a person of faith, if you believe in anything whatsoever, please pray for people in Asheville, Hendersonville, Western North Carolina, and up to Tennessee. Like, they got hit really, really bad by this thing, and it's a joke that we didn't have power, but dude, it was rough, and they're underwater. So please, I don't know if you know anybody there. If you do, please check on your people, check on family, check on non-family, anybody that would be in that area. Dude, it's really,
Yep.
It's a really bad situation. Like, complete cities are underwater. There's no real end in sight for it. Even like they were showing some of the videos, and the side of the mountain was falling off highways and stuff. So please, man, please, sir, please pray. Be thinking about people in that situation. Like, we're fine here. The power was whatever, but we didn't lose anybody. We didn't lose any homes. So for us, it was just majorly power and a lot of things falling. But like they're in like really, really bad shape. People having to be only rescued with with helicopters, being able to get in, and it was not a good situation. So if you can, please keep those people in your thoughts and prayers.
Yeah, if you're a person of faith, thoughts and prayers. If you're a person of action, go onto the Red Cross website, figure out where you can donate blood, donate supplies, diapers, things like that. I mean, people definitely need some help down in the South right now. So, JD, I appreciate you. I love you. I hope everything's going well, and we'll be back when we are all charged up with Wi-Fi working and everything.
Sure, man. Love you too, man. And all my peeps.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.